A scandal over school buses takes down a top Dallas leader. Mayor Pro Tem Dwayne Caraway steps down after pleading guilty to corruption.
Now, he admits that he took kickbacks and bribes, nearly $500,000, to help a company gain contracts with the now defunct Dallas County schools.
I think it is that imperative for us to be able to do everything that we possibly can to make sure that we today are moving this thing forward.
That was Caraway in 2015, convincing the council to extend the company's contract for decades. Federal prosecutors say behind the scenes, Caraway was getting paid to do it.
That speech allegedly led to $450,000 to Dwayne Caraway. But he is not the only player in this case. There's also this man. This is Ricky Sorrells. Now, he is the former head of DCS. He allegedly got $3 million in bribes and kickbacks. And then there is, of course, the Force Multiplier Solutions. That is the technology company itself. The CEO, the business associate, they apparently made the payments. Now, there are a lot of layers in this case, so let's go to our Tanya Iser, who's got much more on this.
An impassioned plea.
To delay it today runs a risk of not having it at all.
Watch Dallas City Council member Dwayne Caraway go to bat in 2015 for a company called Force Multiplier Solutions, trying to help them seal the deal on a lengthy and lucrative contract to provide stop-arm cameras for Dallas County schools' buses.
We talk about education and educating the kids, but we must keep them safe.
This is what $450,000 in bribes and kickbacks can buy.
Today is a day of both reckoning and reconciliation.
U.S. Attorney Aaron Neely Cox announced Caraway's guilty plea in a corruption scandal involving an elaborate scheme to conceal kickbacks and bribes.
We see sham consulting agreements. We see shell companies. We see fake loans.
Former federal public corruption prosecutor Jay DeWald.
These are not the actions of people who have acted honestly.
Caraway's court papers hint at more to come. State Senator Don Huffines led the push to close the busing agency. We talked to him by phone.
There's going to be more people going to jail.
He sees former Dallas County School Board Chair Larry Duncan and others squarely in the crosshairs of investigators. Duncan alone received $240,000 in campaign contributions from Force Multiplier Solutions, according to a recently filed lawsuit.
Look, if they weren't complicit in this fraud and stealing money from taxpayers, they certainly weren't doing their job.
The council's fateful decision that day in 2015 allowed Dallas County School Superintendent Rick Sorrells to enter into agreements totaling $70 million.
An entire public entity relied upon by parents and school children alike was destroyed in the wake of this scandal.
In resigning today, Caraway writes, "I have decided that I must take responsibility for my actions. I am truly sorry." Well, Duncan could not be reached for comment. Sorrells earlier agreed to plead guilty to taking bribes and kickbacks. Sorrells and Caraway's are scheduled to be sentenced in December. I'm live in the Dallas newsroom. Tanya Iser, Channel 8 News.
All right, thanks, Tanya.